So, what if I told you that a single piece of cardboard with a picture of a 21-year-old on it sold for almost $1 million? Sounds insane, right? Well, let's dive into the absolutely wild story of a sports card superstar whose market soared to unbelievable heights, crashed spectacularly, and, well, it might just be on the verge of a massive comeback. Okay, so the player at the center of all this is Victor Wembanyama. The hype around this guy's rookie year was, and I'm not exaggerating, unlike anything the sports world had seen in decades. He was billed as a true once-in-a-generation talent, and the sports card market, oh, they were ready to go all in on him from day one. And this is what that hype looks like in cold, hard cash. In February of 2024, this one single, one-of-a-kind rookie card sold for over $860,000. This wasn't just a sale, it was a statement. It was the market screaming that they believed Wembanyama was the future. And to be fair, he was backing it all up on the court. He was the unanimous Rookie of the Year, putting up absolutely monstrous numbers. I mean, the guy was a dominant force on both ends of the floor. And this incredible performance just poured gasoline on the fire of an already scorching hot card market. And we're not just talking about those super rare, one-of-a-kind cards. No, no. Even the most common version of his main rookie card, if it was graded in perfect condition, was selling for almost $900. The demand was just through the roof at every single level of the market. But, as we all know, what goes up usually comes down. And this meteoric rise, as thrilling as it was built on something incredibly fragile. In the blink of an eye, the entire market was about to come to a screeching, painful halt. You know, the timing just could not have been worse. We're talking right after the All-Star game, at the absolute peak of his popularity and his value, when news broke that changed everything. The hype train didn't just slow down, it flew completely off the rails. The diagnosis was deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot in his shoulder. This was serious. His season was over just like that. And suddenly, there were very real, very scary questions about his long-term health and his career. The market's reaction was, you guessed it, swift and absolutely merciless. Just try to imagine that feeling. You've got people who invested thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars, and they watched their investments just evaporate, almost overnight. The financial and emotional whiplash for these collectors was just staggering. And look at this. I mean, just look. This is one of his key rookie cards. A card that was consistently selling for $330 in perfect condition plummeted to just $29. That's a 90% drop. An absolute catastrophe for anyone who bought in at the top. But that crash wasn't the end of the story. Let's fast forward to today. After months of recovery, Wembanyama is back on the court, and he is looking dominant in the preseason. And this has created a fascinating question for investors. Is this the bottom? Is now the time to buy back in before the whole market recovers? So for anyone even thinking about this gamble, the argument for buying in right now really boils down to three key things. First, his health. He's been cleared by the doctors and looks fantastic. Second, his performance. He's already playing at an elite level again. And third, the timing. We're in this kind of sweet spot before the regular season really kicks off and all that mainstream attention comes roaring back. And listen, it's not just fans who are noticing that he's back. When a veteran coach like Rick Carlisle, a guy who has seen it all, says something like this, the market takes notice. This is the kind of high praise that signals his skills are, without a doubt, still there. Okay, so let's say you're convinced. You think the opportunity is real and it outweighs the risk. What's the actual play? Well, the source material lays out a very specific playbook for anyone willing to make this high-stakes bet. The strategy really focuses on the cards that crash the hardest because, well, they have the most room to grow. For a low-risk play, you could scoop up his raw base Prism card for about $16, with the potential to double or triple your money. Or, for a little more risk, you grab that perfect PSA 10 for $75. Remember, that's a card that was once almost $900, and you're betting it could rebound to that $200 or $300 range. But, and this is a huge but, this is not a sure thing. History gives us two very different cautionary tales. You have Zion Williamson, whose card values crashed because of recurring injuries, and they never, ever recovered. That is the nightmare scenario. Then you have Ja Morant, whose cards also crashed, but they recovered because he came back and performed. The lesson here is crystal clear. Health is everything. You have to treat this like a trade, not a long-term piece for your collection. And any good trader has a clear exit strategy. You need to know your signals. If that PSA 10 card doubles to $150, you take your profit. If he's dominating and the Spurs are winning, maybe you let it run a bit. But the most important signal? Any new injury news, no matter how minor, is an immediate signal to cut your losses and get out. Period. So, where does that leave us? It really all comes down to this one incredibly high-stakes question. Are you betting on a generational talent who just had a single unlucky injury? Or are you betting on a player who is now fundamentally damaged goods? Let's be perfectly clear about this. This is the definition of a high-risk, high-reward play. The upside, buying cards at what, 10 to 20% of their peak value, is massive. You could easily see a 3 to 5 times return on your money. But the downside is just as real. Another injury could make these cards basically worthless. See, the opportunity only exists because we're in this moment of uncertainty. This gap between he looks good and he's proven he's all the way back. It's a calculated gamble on one of the most talented players we've ever seen. The only question left is, would you be willing to take that bet?